back to our channel. We are so excited to be here with you again today. We hope that everybody enjoyed their New Year's Eve and their New Year's Day, and we are welcoming a brand new year.
Yeah, hopefully we're leaving 2020 in the back burner. We're not looking backwards, we're only looking forward. 2021, we feel like it's going to be an exciting year for us, not only to grow, but to grow our YouTube channel as well. We're definitely going to be more focused and bring a larger spectrum of content towards our YouTube channel. So stick around, definitely be excited for 2021. Don't lure on the past, right? 2020 was a dark year for us all, but moving forward, right? We wanted to give advice to younger couples, right? Younger relationships that are flourishing into something beautiful, right?
Yes, when we first started dating, we both wish there was stuff that we knew then that we know now. So that way it probably could have saved us a lot of, heartache and, issues within our relationship.
Yeah, lots of heartaches.
Lots of heartaches.
But we want our first advice would be as transparent as possible, right? And when we say transparent, right, we're talking about your relationships in life, both positive and negative, right? Because these relationships, these experiences you've had in the past, or who you are today, right?
Yep, especially, when it comes to, like you said, experiences, whether it was a traumatic experience or a positive experience, it's important to share those because it could, not only it could affect your life, it could also affect your relationship. And so that way, later on in your relationship, when you're telling this stuff about your partner, there's no surprises.
Yeah, and I think that's key. It's like, and I feel like it's super important early on to just throw everything on the table. You know what you're getting, right? So I feel like that's something that we did early in a relationship. Like we put all our essential dirty laundry on the table, and it's like, okay, this is what I'm getting, this is what I'm prepared for. There's no surprises at this point.
Exactly.
Right? And I feel like that benefited us in the long run, right? Because it's like I knew who I'm dealing with, I knew what to expect, expectations were already there. And I feel like it worked out well for us, right?
Yes.
Next advice, right?
So the next advice would be laying out your blueprints of the relationship or life. And sort of what you want or what you both want out of life and out of the relationship. Because you want to make sure that you're constantly on the same page. In the beginning of our relationship, we weren't on the same page. There was a lot of back and forth if this was going to work, if it wasn't going to work, obviously. Now that we're here 6, almost 7 years later, we are officially on the same page.
Most of the
time. But I think that it's, we think it's so important to always be on the same page because you don't want to date someone for 8, 9, 10 years and then realize, oh, he hasn't asked me to marry him yet. Why hasn't he asked me? Or one of you decides that you don't want kids and the other person does.
Or don't want dogs or doesn't want dogs.
Right.
But I feel like this is more important than our first advice, right? Is building that line of communication to what expectations are, right? Laying a blueprint down, right? Are we coming to a crossroads where we meet the same ends? Are we working towards the same thing? And it's important. It's like perhaps maybe someone's in a relationship that wants just something short term and just wants a physical connection, not a long term relationship. It's important to establish these things at an early stage in your relationship so there's no disappointment, right? And that's okay. People look for different things in relationships all the time. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I just think it's important to know what you both want. So that way you can save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of turmoil.
Yeah, and I think this is important to establish very early on. That way you're not wasting your time and you're not wasting the other person's time, right?
Right, you want to make sure that the person that you're with knows that you're dating to see potential in them. You're not dating just to date.
Yeah, and some people do date just to date, right?
Right, and that's okay, but
testing the waters.
Yeah, but eventually, some people don't want to date just to date anymore. They date because they see potential in that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next piece of advice we're giving out, right?
Yes.
Is setting boundaries, right? Boundaries are important, right? For example, right, sometimes I want me time, right? And me time for me is super important. And I let her know, hey, sometimes I need my me time, right? We do spend significant of our time together, right? And I enjoy every second that I spend with her. She is my favorite human being, without a doubt. But sometimes I need my me time, right? Whether it's, hey, I just want to sit around, do nothing, play video games, and eat Domino's with my friends. Or it's, oh, hey, I just want to be in my room and just do nothing, be lazy, right? It's important to set those boundaries, right? And let your significant other know, hey, these are boundaries that I have, and I'm not okay with you crossing, maybe to a certain degree, right?
Right, and I think that not only the me time boundary, but it's also important to establish boundaries within and outside of your relationship. You know, especially if your partner isn't comfortable with a certain individual or a certain act. You know, it is so important to respect your partner's boundary, because your partner should always come first. Their feelings, their comfort should always come first. Especially if you see the potential of spending the rest of your life with them, they should always come first.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving onward is the importance of meeting family, right? This is something that we disagree on.
We can agree to disagree on this.
Yeah, I don't think meeting family is really that important, because your family doesn't make you, right? They did help build you at some point, but I feel like at the end of the day, people kind of go find an exit that they belong to and just become their own human beings.
Right. I think it's important to meet family because your family is essentially your support pillar. Not always for everybody, but they are the people that raised you and were there for you your whole lives. And eventually, you know, if you do get married and you have children or whatever, you're going to want the support of your family during that time.
Yeah, without getting into it, it's something that caused a lot of friction in our relationship, because my family they're unique.
I didn't meet his mother until 3 years into our relationship.
Yeah, and it caused so much friction because it was super important to you. But for me, I was like, hey, most of it's not my fault. It's really my mom's end. That being said, I really didn't apply as much pressure I should have. But it was kind of our philosophies on how the importance of family. For me, it was just like, for you, it was
very important for me.
Yeah. So
now that I've met his mother, I know where he gets a lot of his traits from.
Yeah, I am a spitting image of her, whether she likes it or not.
So the next one is fighting in relationships. We feel that this one is very important because, especially with young couples, when they start fighting or stuff starts to get kind of difficult, they're kind of like, okay, I'm done. This is it. I don't want to deal with this.
Easy to quit, right?
Right. But fighting is such an important part of a relationship, and it's normal.
And I would even argue and say it's crucial, right? It's an essential part of relationships, because fighting is a level of normalcy, right? You're not going to see eye to eye on every little aspect of every little thing.
Yep.
Right? That's just not a realistic expectation to set. Nothing is perfect, right? We all have flaws, and some days, even if it's perfect most of the days, but you're human, we have bad days, right? Where it's okay to have bad days.
Right, and it's also, you know, sort of having those differences of opinion and that clashing sort of shows like who you are as a person, and really helps define, you know, you're saying, okay, I'm not going to stand for this. You know, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. We each have our own opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah, and fighting is a good way to kind of build, right? It's like, oh, it's a learning experience. How could I have gone a different route, right? Could I have handled this a little bit different? It's a good opportunity to not only build on you as a person, but on your relationship as well. And I think it's super important, right, to not intentionally like serve fights. I tend to do that. Guilty.
To stir the pot when he doesn't need to.
Because we don't necessarily fight a lot, and that's why
we have like little tiny arguments, but it's never anything that's like big.
Yeah.
But if we go a little while without fighting, someone can't handle it.
Yeah. It's
so
like,
he has to stir the pot.
Yeah. I do just to test the waters, to make sure we're definitely having some growth, and growth is important for me. That being said, I don't get it confused. Toxic relationships are a completely different ballground, right?
Right. When the relationship gets to a point where the fighting becomes consistent every day over small things, that's when it becomes toxic.
Or they're getting violent both emotionally and physically, then you gotta...
That's when it's time to...
You gotta
it's time to end.
You gotta blow that taco stand and just go your separate end. But our last piece of advice, right, would be... to
learn the difference between lust and love.
Especially at an early state, right?
Yep, because you could think that, you know, you could be over the moon about someone, you know, and think that you were in love with them, but it turns out that it's just lust. That you are loving them for their body as opposed to who they are as a person. And then once they start to show sort of that personality...
starts to unravel, right?
Yep, you're kind of like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, because we do lust things, right? I know I lust food, pecan pie. But some people do lust, whether it's certain traits someone has. Oh, he or she has chiseled chins, right? Or
like she has like a big booty or like whatever.
Or thigh gaps, right? A couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
And people lust for certain characteristics we have humans have, right? And it's important to identify, oh, this is something I'm just lusting, because we feel for love, right? It's a far deeper experience, right? Lust is forever. Love
is forever. Lust is only temporary.
Yeah.
You know, because when you love someone, you know, being deeply loved by someone means that you love all of their flaws. Like, their flaws don't bother you. Sometimes to a certain point they might. But it's important to know, you know, the difference between lust and love.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we wanted to share with you guys today. Hopefully you take something out of our video. If you have any advice that you would offer, drop in the comments. We'll read them. We enjoy reading your comments, and it's definitely some that we wish we
knew at the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, and all these points are some that we would advise someone, younger couples, starting couples to kind of do. It's what we've learned from our mistakes to you. That being said,
thank you so much for joining us again for another video. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next video.
Bye. Love you.